I'm talking to Buck Woody at the Live 360 conference in Orlando,
Indeed.
and that's coming up next. Buck, I appreciate that you flew in for the conference.
I did. My plane crashed in the back, so I figured, well, while I'm here, may as well talk about SQL Server.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the background, you're also going to hear, well, we're right next to Universal Studios.
We are. It's a tough life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
having a great time.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah. People make a lot of those same screams when I'm presenting.
Do
Yeah,
they?
they do. It's very frightening at times.
Buck, you have been involved in the Microsoft data community for decades.
Indeed,
A
indeed.
long time. I recall attending past summits. I don't remember when the first one was. It may have been circa 2005, 2006
That's right.
when you were
Yeah.
presenting.
That's right.
I've learned some amazing things from you.
I always learn when I present.
Yeah?
Yeah.
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 You know, and if it wasn't, you know, I don't know, you have this amazing style that just makes the experience memorable for me. Whether it's, you know, the Russian yodeler or, you know, the dress up and costume, you know, object lessons that you present. I remember learning about the difference between platform as a service and infrastructure as a service.
That's right.
You.
That's right.
It really stuck.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know, I'm from the South, and natural-born storytellers. Everything's a story. My grandpa, if you asked him what time it was, you'd know where the watch came from. I mean, everything was a story. The other thing, so I use a lot of analogies and stories whenever I teach, but the other thing is I'm not a very smart person, so I have to, I really have to bring the hay down where the cows can get it, and when I do that for myself, I figure, hey, I can do it for everybody else as well. I often tell people, you probably already know this, but here's how I figured this out. And a lot of people will come to me and said, I didn't know that. Because a lot of times you ask people, how many of you know about XYZ in the audience? Well, you don't want to be that person that raises their hand that they don't know, right? So I always say, hey, just to get us on a level playing field, let's just set a baseline here. This is how this works. And I use a lot of analogies. This is like this is like that, this is like the other. And I find that telling stories and using analogies and keeping it simple makes for good communication. I appreciate that style. I'm always impressed with the people who know a lot of stuff. I once heard somebody say, a good presenter makes you say, wow, that person is really smart. A great presenter makes you say, wow, now I'm really smart.
Yes.
And so I try to make
connection.
sure that everybody knows what I know when I'm done.
So what is your role at Microsoft now? What is your job?
Yeah, I've been here 16 years, and I've had 5 different roles. You know, once they figure me out, I usually move on before they catch on too quickly. My current title is a principal data scientist, applied data scientist at Microsoft, work in the Azure data team.
Okay.
I've held several roles here at Microsoft, from consulting to product group, and I was on the team that helped build Red Dog, which became Azure.
Red Dog.
Yeah,
Okay,
Red Dog was the code name. That's right. It was actually after there's a watering hole just off campus called the Pink Poodle, and some engineers were there one time and said, "Hey, you know what? This would be cool to do," and they sketched it out, literally the back of the napkin, and that's where Azure was born.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I've always enjoyed the fact that Azure really is a shade of blue.
That's correct.
And in Seattle, you rarely see
I was
that.
going to say, number one, why they picked that in Seattle, I don't know, because there is no blue sky in Seattle. But somebody asked me one time, they said, you know, Azure skies means clear blue skies, no
With
clouds.
no clouds.
So you named your cloud after something that has no clouds. We thought it was funny, and I said, no, that's actually on purpose. We want that to just disappear. It shouldn't matter. You need to get some work done. Here's how you do it. It doesn't matter whether it's here or there. We have stuff on premises. We have stuff in the cloud. We let you use things in other people's clouds. We literally want you to be able to get your job done.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I know a number of individuals who you have mentored at Microsoft. What's that like, and why?
Yeah.
Why be a mentor? What does that do for
Great
you
question.
and for them?
Yeah, I've got an article out there called "Have a Mentor, Be a Mentor." Mentor is an old term from Greece, and it was about a guy who
With
helped.
John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Right?
No, I think it's different Greece. That was the one where the mentor dances. But no, the person in Greece named Mentor helped a young man progress. And so it's literally somebody with experience helping somebody that doesn't have that experience. A lot of people mistake what a mentor relationship is, and they feel that the mentor is someone who helps you get ahead, whatever that means, money or promotions or whatever. And that's a coach. A coach is someone who says you're holding the bat wrong, hold it like this, and so on. That's a coach. A mentor, I like to say I'm on your board of directors, and you're the CEO of your own career. So I'm someone you can say, what have you seen happen here? And I'll say, well, in my experience, this often happens. And a lot of my mentees will say things like, well, what should I do? And I'm like, I don't know, what should you do? What do you think you should do? I'm not here to fix your career, but I can be a sounding board, and there is a process, there is a program. Hey, you might want to read these 3 books. You might want to talk to these 2 people. You may want to investigate this area. I don't think you're happy in what you're doing. I don't think you're good at what you're doing. A lot of people have been told the false thing of follow your passion. It's just such bad advice. That is just such a terrible way to run a career. It really is. Don't follow your passion, whatever you do. Now, should you hate your work? Of course not. Should you enjoy what you do? Of course. But you should work at what you're good at. People will give you money if you're good at something.
Okay.
And so your first job is to figure out what you're good at.
Sure.
And that is sometimes harder than you think. You think you know yourself, but you don't always. So we go through some exercise where they discover what their strengths are, how good they are, things. We talk about how they work, and then we talk about why they work, and then the what you do. Who really cares, to be quite honest? The idea in working is that you should have people give you monetary units for units of your time. That's what we all do. And it should be something that you're good at. And it's really easy to find. Do you have something that when you do it, your family or friends say, how did you do that? And you're kind of stunned that you can't even explain it. You're like, how could you not do that? Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're good at.
Okay.
Right? And you've got a friend or a family member who can play the guitar or cook something or whatever, and you're like, how do you do that? I didn't even see that painting. How did you paint that? And they're like, you just paint it.
Yeah.
They're good at painting.
You know, we work with technologies,
Yeah.
products that didn't exist a year ago.
Correct.
You know, so how in the world can we be experts when we just figured it out?
Well, you can spell it. If you can spell it, you're an
Right.
absolute expert. Yeah.
Well, and I think that oftentimes the skill is being able to solve a problem.
Correct. That's right. So it is not the particular technology. When you interview someone and you test them for skills, of course they need to be able to do the job. That's obvious. But I had somebody get in the minutia of asking me, well, can you describe how you would write a sorting algorithm? And I'm like, no. Every language I've used since assembly has had a sorting rhythm built in. Why would I write that? And they're like, well, we want to make sure you know how to do it. And I'm like, do you do a lot of that here? Is that something that you do? So I don't want to show you how to write a sorting algorithm. Give me a problem I've never seen and watch how I solve it. You shouldn't care what I think. You should care how I think.
Okay.
And once I know how someone thinks, I can teach you anything. You didn't know how to tie your shoes. You didn't know how to speak English. And here you are, a productive member of invertebrate society, because you were able to overcome those terrible difficulties of learning those things. So you can learn anything.
Right. Just recognizing that there's a problem and finding the tools to solve it.
If you're good at it.
Okay.
If you're good at it.
So we're here at the first conference,
Yeah.
in-person conference
Yeah.
that we've had for a very long time, socially distanced. They tested us.
Yeah,
and
all
we've
tested
all been
and swabbed. We
and-
vaccinated.
Yeah.
I got vaccinated and then I got swabbed, which was interesting.
Yep,
and then we
same
got
here.
a little thing. I've been branded and I prove it. And we've been, when we're inside the conference center, we're all wearing masks and everything. It's been very, very well, a good protocol.
Yeah. But so this is our first foray in an in-person event
Yeah.
into the data community
Yeah.
since the pandemic.
Yeah.
So what have you missed most about not being able to go to events?
I think the main thing is the hallway moments, right? Just things you run into people and have discussions you would not have normally had. I was talking with a developer the other day, a mentee, and they're a little down and so on, and the world has kind of focused in for us onto a screen, and so we only reach out to the people we know, because that's how we reach out. You're not just going to randomly call someone on Teams and say, hey, you got a minute? I just want to meet you, and what do you do, and where are you from? You can't do that. But at lunch today I did. A person came and sat at the table. I'm like, so where are you from? Oh, I'm from Brazil. Really? Which part? I've been to Brazil. When did you come here? What brought you here? And so I can't do that. So it's not the Rumsfeld say, it's the unknown unknowns, right? The known knowns and the known unknowns, and now we have the unknown unknowns. And these hallway moments allow us to do that. And while I think we're going to be in a new hybrid world for a while, and maybe forever, I don't know, I still think those serendipitous meetings where we run into people and we overhear something like, did you say, you've got a Kia? I've got a Kia. Have you ever a problem with the, right? Those are things you're not going to get over a Teams meeting. Yeah,
good point. And this is all part of this marvelous community. I think Microsoft has a very unique culture in terms of promoting community and kind of seizing the community.
Yeah.
How important is community to you?
Extraordinarily. So you point out, I've been in user groups from ham radio on, right? From the early days of electronics to
CQ.
Absolutely. And building computers. Back in the day, your computer club was literally you built a computer from a motherboard and so on, not just assembled one. And I wrote my first operating system, right? I mean, that kind of thing. I mean, it's that level. So I've been in these communities, all kinds of car communities and computing communities and so on. The data community, and specifically SQL Server. I mean specifically SQL Server. I've been an Oracle person, I've been Postgres, lots of different databases in my life. But specifically the SQL community is just stunning. And so PASS embodied that for us for a very long time. And we leaned on PASS at Microsoft, and PASS leaned on us. But it was this independent body that sort of held that. Well, when PASS kind of stopped and ceased rather suddenly, at Microsoft they said, what are we going to do? We love our community, but this is not our organization. What should we do? So they asked me, we formed a team. Merritt came to work for me. I work with a marketing person, Matthew Burrows. And we said, look, what the most important thing is not the summit or anything like that. It's the local user groups, the local community groups. So we took this all the way up the chain, and I said, I'd like to rescue the user groups into the Azure data community. However, they said, okay, how are you going to run it? And I said, I don't want to run it. I want them to run it.
Yeah.
I want the community to own the community, and I want us to support it. I want us to pay for it. I want us to buy them Teams. We have to pay for Teams a lot. I want them to buy Meetup Pro. I want to give them a website. I want to give them all this stuff. I want to give them things. And they're like, well, what control will we have? And I'm like, none. We're not.
Isn't that the point?
It should be. A lot of user groups for a vendor's product are run by the vendor, and that's okay. The vendor controls and so on, because you've got liability and all kinds of things that you need to think about. But I said, no, we need to make sure the community can run itself. So the slogan was that we took all the way up the chain, community owned, Microsoft empowered. Okay. And we did that. And we now have, I think it's 40 countries, 130 user groups around the world, 80,000 people, I think, close to 80,000 people that we've got that are part of their local thriving community, that are local. And the only thing we require of them, they sign terms and conditions that says you have to, a code of conduct, that you have to behave. Other than that, that's about it. We need you to talk about our stuff, but not exclusively our stuff.
Yeah.
Just our stuff most of the time. Once you sign up for that, we give the user group a whole lot of support. We're always going to do that.
Well, and as a co-leader of one of those local communities back in Portland, Oregon, I can tell you that I appreciate the approach that Microsoft and leaders like yourself have taken in not holding the strings.
That's right.
And not telling us what to do, but letting us work with our people and having that support, but not necessarily the control.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a recipe that works.
I think so, and it circles back on the question you asked about mentorship. I don't have a job title on LinkedIn. I actually have a slogan, and I believe everyone should have one, a little mission statement for yourself. And mine is, smarter people are better people. So I believe if I know more about a culture, I'm less racist. I believe if I know more about how food works, I'll eat better. I believe if I know you've had a bad day, I'm less likely to be a jerk to you, and so on. So I believe smarter people are better people. And it's got a little underneath it, it says, and everyone can be smarter.
Okay.
So
Words
that's
to live by.
it literally is that for me. My career slogan is that. And so everything I do, I hold up to, am I doing that? Sure, I've got a day job of data science, and I do algorithms, and I do stats and all that stuff. But as part of the community lead, what I try to do is make people smarter by sharing information. And I think we can do that. And then I leave it up to you with what you're going to do with that information. And I'm constantly amazed.
Yeah.
I see people that come to me, I work in a hospital and I do radiology databases and we do all these things and save lives. I work in this power plant and I do these things and we're cutting down emissions. And I'm just constantly amazed by our community, constantly, in the work you do.
Well, and it's a community that works. And,
It is indeed.
And I appreciate that. So with all of the hard work that you've described, how do you disconnect from work? How do you get away?
It's kind of interesting. A lot of people go on vacations to relax.
Yeah.
I find vacations incredibly stressful, so I don't take them. But there's a method to my madness.
Well, you live in a place where a lot of us go on
That's
vacation.
true. I do live near the beach, so it's a little bit of I live in this, so it's a little harder to complain. But the idea is that for me, being away, you're traveling, that's not fun. In and out of airports and hotels and nickel and diming and the stress of all that and screening kids at 2 a.m. and all those things. That's not relaxing to me. Not that you have to do those things to be on vacation. But what I tend to do is this, up until the pandemic, I traveled a lot for work, doing conferences or teaching classes or working with customers on projects and so on. So my away time was my work, and I got away from home. So I had that mental break of being in a new place, meeting new people. My home time is my relaxing time. So on evenings and weekends and things, I like working with wood. I do a lot of that. I love walking. It's a very simple thing to do, but I love to walk, and my wife and I walk all the time. In fact, there's a local news lady in Tampa.
Right, and I remember seeing this.
Started a walking club, and like 10 or 15 of us are like, yeah, we'll walk with you. And by walking club, it means on Facebook you'd post, I walked in this park today, and it's got this pathway, and you can see these kind of animals. Well, she's got like 17,000 people now in this thing.
In a walking club.
In a walking club.
That's amazing.
And they're sending her pictures of their kids. She ran into a couple of them today. She posted on Facebook that have been married for 60 years.
Wow.
Her birthday was yesterday. Everyone is sending her birthday videos of their kids singing happy birthday to this random news lady just from walking. So that I do that. And we also have kayaks. And so we'll pop out to the Gulf of Mexico and dump the kayaks in the water and go find an island and have a picnic for the day.
Wow,
Yeah.
Sounds very relaxing.
Yeah.
Buck, thank you so much.
Anytime,
for your time
my brother.
And your insights.
All right. It's great to chat with you, and I wish the best to our sequel family. And I always say, just keep on learning and keep on helping each other.
Amen. Thank you.